Hello, welcome back to the another lecture of a data science series. In this lecture, I will cover the remaining part of our solution for ANSEM papers. Starting with our algorithm for a clustering. Uh, Basically, this is the algorithm for k-mean clustering. Starting with our first step, for every step, the first for every algorithm, the first step is always to initialize. Here we have to initialize our centroids. These centroids are basically a random k points. How much k point? It means that from the given data set, data points, we need to initialize our two data points for the steps of the k-mean clustering, for the calculation of a k-mean clustering, and making our clusters. Uh, then after initializing our data points, the second step is the cluster assignment. For each data points we need to assign a cluster, uh, and these clusters are assigned on the basis of the calculation of a distance between the data points we have already initialized and each data points from the data set. For example, I will explain this by taking the example. For example, here, um, sorry, it may be a little bit blur, but I will try to explain it in a better way. For example, here our data points are 1, 2, 2, 3, 3, 4, 4, 5, 5, 6, 6, 7, 7, 8, and 8, 9. This may be our data points. Here we have initialized k is equal to 2. This is our initialization, which we have discussed, that this is our first step, and we have our data points are 2. We have initialized that, and we have taken 1, 2, and 2, 3, our initialized data point centers for our clusters. Now, as we have studies cluster assignment, for each assignment, calculate a distance to each centroid. Whatever the data points we have given and whatever the data points we have taken as a center, we need to calculate a distance between that data points. For example, here we have calculated distance between 1 2 and 1 2 and 1 2 and 1 2 and 2 3. In first row, we have calculated this distance between 2 3 and 1 2, 1 2 and 1 2. Whatever the minimum distance between both data points, we will assign that distance to our cluster. For example, here, uh, for example here sorry in the first row, the cluster 1 has a minimum distance, so this data point will assign to the first cluster. And after calculating distance for the second cluster, 2 3 and 1 2, and in this step, the minimum distance is in the second cluster, so this data point will assign to a second cluster. It means a 2 3 data point is assigned in the second cluster. In this way, we have calculated the distance for the another data points also, and whatever the minimum distance we get from calculating distance between first cluster and data point, and second cluster and data point, whatever the minimum distance is there, we assign that distance to the that cluster. And by this doing, we update our and after this completing the whole after this, whenever we complete this whole process, we update our centroids. Now the question arises that how we can update our centroids. The centroids can be updated by calculating the mean of data points assigned to the cluster. This we can understand by the example that here you can see that in cluster 1 we have assigned 1 2 data points, and in second cluster we have assigned these data points 2 3 3 4 and 4 5 and 5 6. Now after this, updating a centroid, it means that for updating we need to calculate the mean for coordinates of each centroids, for separate coordinates, like for x coordinate and y coordinate. For example, here we have calculated x coordinate for centroid 1, mean of x coordinate for centroid 1, mean of y coordinate for centroid 1. So we get the 1 2 point for our second step of our um, cluster k-mean cluster algorithm, which is updated data point. And the another point is taken out from calculating the mean of x coordinate for centroid 2. So we have taken all the x coordinates of all the data points of centroid cluster 2, and y coordinate of cluster 2, separately taking out the mean of x and y coordinate, we get the point 5 and 6. So so by this we get the 2 point of our cluster 1 and cluster 2, that are the updated points 1 2 and 5 6. So this will be the new updated points for our clusters 1 and 2. Now the repeat the steps. We will repeat the steps which we have discussed in our first step after updating the centroids. As similar in the first step, we will calculate the distance between the data points and the updated centroid points, and whatever the minimum distance will be there, we will assign that data point to that cluster. For example, in third step, 3 4 is a data point, and calculating distance from 1 2 and 5 6, we get the minimum distance 4. So we will assign this to the cluster 1. So this is how we can calculate our k-mean clustering. After this, we will apply the same process. We will calculate the mean of x y coordinate for a separate centroid, and again we update the centroids for the points. So our first step, we have already seen our example. Repeat step 2 3. One of the following coordinate is until one of the following coordinate is met. It means that we will repeat this following steps until we get the same coordinate of a cluster, same as the previous step. And after that, output result, return the final cluster assignment and the centroid. After Whenever our cluster points, it means that center points are start repeating, it means that that is our output. So this was all about the algorithm of a cluster and how we can calculate the k-mean cluster uh, centroids, and how we can calculate the centroid points. We have already discussed by our example. The remaining part of this lecture we will see in the next part of the video. Thank you.